Okay, so this is the answer check portion of today's lesson with circles, which is 2.1. So we're gonna go through the questions and just kind of like go back and forth between my whiteboard and your paper so that your answers make sense and they look like mine. So starting out, we are going to go straight into what the level 1 questions are, which is just us looking at it. What is the longest chord you can draw inside any circle? And if you're thinking about it, there are only 3 different types of line segments inside of a circle that we talked about. We talked about the radius, which is basically going to come from the center of the circle and stretch itself out to any point on the circumference. The other line that we talked about was the diameter, which goes from the outer edge from one point across the circle through the middle to the other point on the opposite side of that circle. And then the other one that we talked about was a chord, which is basically when you have 2 points that make a line on a circle, but that line doesn't go through the middle of the circle at all. So again, you have a radius, a diameter, and a chord. Now, of these lines, you can see that the longest possible line that you can draw is the line that cuts your circle in half, i.e. the diameter. So that's the line that you should check. That's the point you should check there. Let's look at this example with Ms. Patel and Ms. Moorhead. They're at a skating rink. The skating rink is shaped as a circle. Ms. Patel stands in the center of the rink, and Ms. Moorhead is standing on the edge of the rink, 7.4 feet away. So let me come out of this for a second. We are now looking at an example of Ms. Moorhead and Ms. Patel. I'm going to do some fun thing where I like draw Ms. Patel. I'm going to make her very short. And this is Patel. And then we have Ms. Moorhead. I'm going to give her a lot of hair, obviously. And she's standing on the outside edge of the rink. And we know that that they're standing 7.4 feet away. So the distance between them two is 7.4 feet. And we want to know, what does the distance across the ice rink throughout the center? We want to know what is the distance of the rink across the center. So if we know that Ms. Patel is standing in the middle and Ms. Moorhead is standing on the edge, and that distance is 7.4 feet, we know that the distance across the middle of this skating rink would be 7.4 plus 7.4 or 14.8. You add those together. 14.8 feet, and you would go ahead and put that answer inside of your page. What part of the circle does the 7.4 represent? We know that the 7.4 is just from the middle of the circle, or the origin of the circle, to the edge or the outer circumference part of the circle. We know that that is the radius. So you go ahead and check off radius. And then we're talking about questions 3 through 7. I am going to pause and just like redraw that. Okay, so I have a real life model of what you all are looking at in terms of answering the question. What form on this line represents, or what line segment makes the diameter? We know the diameter is from one edge of the circumference to the other edge, and it goes through the middle of the circle. So A through B, so line segment A, B is what it would be. It wouldn't be AC, it wouldn't be CB, it wouldn't be ACB, it would just be the beginning point, which is A, and the end point, which is B, that makes up the diameter. What part of the circle does line segment AB represent? Again, that is going to be the diameter. I think that was an error. I probably should have changed that question. What 2 radii, the plural form of radius, are present in the circle? We have 2 radii, or we have 2 radiuses, but it's called radii, that we see in the circle. We see that we have the line segment AC, which is a radius, also the line segment CB, which is a radius. You can tell that it's going to be a radius or a diameter when you see the line going through the origin or in the middle of the circle. What circle part does BF represent? Now, because BF is the straightest thing that you've seen today, and it's not a diameter because it's not going through the middle of the circle, It's not a radius because it doesn't start at the middle of the circle and come to the edge. It is not a chord because it isn't 2 points that are connected on the circumference of the circle, like we see with D and E. This is something that just applies none of the above. And if the length of the segment BF, what is the length of the line segment BF if the length of the line segment CB is 33.9 feet? We know that CB is 33.9 feet. For us to be able to tell what BF is, all right, and we're back. I'm gonna go into the level 2 questions instead, just to kind of keep the momentum going. Don't worry about that question I just read. So here we have, all right, we need to identify the part of the circle that is shown below. What is point A? Point A lies in the middle of the circle, so that would be known as our center. What part of the circle is shown below? The segment for A and B. It is not going from the middle to the edge of the circle, nor is it going from like one edge to the other edge while going through the middle of the circle. So instead of this being diameter, it's a chord. You can tell that it would be a diameter because it would evenly look like it was going through the middle of the circle. But also in the midpoint, we would see that it would be like a point or something that would show us that that was going through the center of the circle. This is a chord because it isn't doing, this is a chord because it is not a diameter going through the middle of the circle. Identify the part of the circle that is shown below. We have for segment A and B, be careful to make sure that you're noticing that this is going through the circle. Like in that last question, the difference between the chord and the diameter is that we can tell that this is going through the center because of this circle right here that's in the middle of the circle that tells us that this is point A to point B going through the middle. This is how we know that we have diameter. Make sure that you're not making the mistake of confusing diameter and radius. Speaking of radius, when we see this line segment A, which starts in the middle, to B, which goes to the outside circumference, we're looking at the radius. X and Y, again, is a chord because it goes from one point, it connects 2 points on the outside of this circle, which would make it a diameter, but because it doesn't go through the middle here, it's just the chord. X is the center. Radius because it starts in the center and goes to the edge. And diameter because it goes from edge to edge while going through the middle. A circle has a radius of 12 inches. So what is its diameter? We know that radius is 1/2 of diameter. So if we had the radius, we could use the diameter by taking the 12 inches and multiplying it by 2, which gives us 24. Our answer is 24 inches. More importantly, we want to say the diameter. You don't have to do nearly as much work this time around, so make sure that you're writing full sentences and responding like a scholar. The diameter of the circle is 12 inches. The diameter of the circle has a diameter of 32 miles. So what is its radius? We know that diameter is twice the size of radius. So if we wanted to find out the radius from the diameter, we would take 32 and divide it by 2. It tells us that the answer is 16. So we will say that it has a radius of 16 miles. 16-mile radius. A circle has a diameter of 46 centimeters. What is its radius? Again, you would take 46 divided by 2. That would give you 26 centimeter radius. The circle has a radius of 38 meters. What is its diameter? Make sure that you're paying attention between radius of 38 meters so that you won't make that mistake. I'm looking at this. If it has a radius of 38 meters, that means I'm going to multiply this times 2. 38 times 2 gives me 76. It has a 76 meter diameter. Circle has a diameter of 17 inches, so its radius is going to be 17. Nope. Its radius is going to be 17 divided by 2. 17 divided by 2 is like 8.5. I'm gonna just throw that in there so that I'm not like making sure. So I'm not like making a mistake. So we know that it would be 8.5 inch radius. Uh-oh. A circle has a radius of 10.5 feet. That means it has a 21-foot diameter. Read the following real-world scenarios and determine whether the problem is referring to the circumference, diameter, or radius. The distance to the center of a circular quilt. The distance to the center. The distance to the center is the radius. The distance from the edge of a circular mural to its center. So the distance of the edge of a circle to its center sounds a lot like the distance to the center. Again, this real world scenario is describing radius. The distance across a circular swimming pool. The distance across a circular swimming pool. Think about a swimming pool being a circle, and to start at point A and to swim across means you go through the middle to the other side, which means that you're talking about the diameter. The point where the hands meet on the face of a circular clock. The point where the hands meet on the face of a circular clock. You're looking at like where the hands meet. That means like you could have, for a circular clock, you could have one hand that says, the big hand that tells the minutes or the hours, I forget, and the little hand. But these hands meet at the center. So what that situation is describing is the center. This is where the hands on a clock would meet. The distance across a circular frying pan. The distance across a circular frying pan. It doesn't say whether it's going through the center or not, but you think to go across something, you have to go through its center. So again, we're describing the diameter. The distance around a frying pan. Think about the distance around. We're thinking about their circumference. To go around the circle, we're talking about the circumference, the distance around it. The same for the distance around a circular track. The distance around the circle is how we know that this is going to be circumference. The location of your pupil in the middle of your eye. In the middle of your eye, we're assuming that our eyeball is circled. I mean, it is. The location of your pupil will be in the center of your eye. So you're talking about the center of a circle. Now, the distance that between someone standing in the center of the circular track and someone running around the track. The distance between someone standing in the center of the track and someone running around the track. We could just assume that this person is running. This person is running very strangely. And this person is standing here looking. And the distance between these two people is also known as the radius. So once you get those answers in, you're not done until you finish the exit ticket. And make sure that you get on Khan with those assigned Khan Academy assignments that you should be logging in to check. Looking forward to seeing your progress. Again, I'll be here from 11 to 12 every day. If you have any questions or you want to walk through this, I can be of help. But definitely help yourself by doing this work. All right? Quarantine Classroom, Season 2, Day 1, out.